Hi, everyone. Doc T here with another episode of the Horses Advocate podcast. Thank you so much for joining me the day before Thanksgiving, the best holiday ever, because it's all about giving thanks. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just about families getting together and recognizing that if you're not grateful, you don't deserve this day. And everyone deserves this day, so everyone just be grateful. I'm going to spend a moment talking about how grateful I am toward the end of this, but I just want to dive right into one subject that I saw and then I also experienced just today. I've been working like a crazy man. It's just my busy time of year. So many horses getting ready to start the winter show season down here in Florida, and I'm running like crazy all over Long Island and Florida. So I've been on the road. I'm so grateful to be back. Let's go to this one. National Library of Medicine. I will actually share the screen so you know that I'm not just whistling Dixie here. Here we go. Okay, so this is PubMed, and where I got this from actually was from the Kentucky Equine Research, which is a group of people in Kentucky who believe that they have a lot of answers to nutrition, and I wish I could say that they do. I'm sorry, Joe Pagan. I know it's your baby. I appreciate that, but I've known you since you're in school getting your degrees, and so you're not just a company, you're an actual face that I recognize. And I see some of these things coming off your website called correction of dental malocclusions does not improve nutrient absorption in horses. And where they got that from was this same title article that was done back in, where was it done? September of 2023. And I'll read the abstract to you. The abstract says, irregular wear patterns are theorized, and they're talking about teeth. Okay, horses' teeth, the irregular wear patterns of horses' teeth are theorized to cause poor feed digestion and weight loss in the horse. And right then and there, I just put the brakes on, because it's just a theory that somebody's come by and said, yeah, the teeth need floating because the food isn't digesting right. You're starting to see particles in the food, and it's because the teeth aren't chewing it, or as they say, masticating correctly, and then weight loss. And you know, if you've been with me for any amount of time, the word weight loss just is like a hot button. You push it, I'm like, I can have you lose 10 to 20 pounds right now, right this very instant. And people look at me and they say, how are you going to do that? I say, I'm going to cut your arm off. And of course, that is a statement of the obvious, but you know, you lose your fat, your water, your bone, your blood, your muscle, you know, all of that is gone. So when they say weight loss, what are they saying? It just, you know, and again, in my world, a lot of weight loss is caused by either there's not enough food there, or they're being overfed with glucose. And in some horses, that causes horses just to lose body fat. They just can't make it, and all the glucose is being dumped out, and they're starving. And it's just a genetic problem in these horses that no one's ever found an answer for. But let me just go on. Let's just for a moment pretend that sharp points in the horse's mouth are going to cause poor feed digestion and weight loss. So that's their assumption. That's their hypothesis or null hypothesis, and they're out here trying to prove that. So the objective of this study was to test the hypothesis that dental correction, whatever that means, would increase postprandial nutrient concentrations, which means after eating. That's what postprandial means. And nutrient concentrations just means they're going to measure glucose and amino acids, and they're going to see if they rise. And they're also going to look at reduced fecal particle size in clinically healthy mares. So the fecal particle size is, I'm sure many of you looked at your horse poop every day, in fact, at the end of your pitchfork, and you're going to see that some fecal balls look normal with, normal consistency. And then there's some horses that you can actually see pieces of hay stuck in there, that it's never gotten digested. And their hypothesis is it's because the horse doesn't chew. I've always said, since like decades now, that chewing creates a swallowable bolus. It does not create small fecal particle size. Yes, it does. It grinds it up. I've taken hay out of the back of the horse's mouth, and instead of being long and stocky, it's this very fine particle. But I suggest that what causes the fecal particles to completely disappear is a normal, healthy gut microbiome that attacks that in the hindgut and digests it down into nothingness, which is what we see in a normal horse. And those who don't have a good normal microbiome, that's the reason why you'll see some fecal particle size. But you know, it's fine. I love science if it's good science. And if they want to prove that filing teeth can create better fecal particle size, so be it. So I'm all for it. So they took 16 mares age 4 to 17. And I think that's just because that's the age group that they happen to have available. And 16 horses just isn't a lot of horses. They limited it all to mares, so it ruled out geldings and stallions, and it ruled out ancient horses with bad teeth and very young horses that are still shedding teeth. So, you know, for 4 to 17, they should have almost a full mouth. I always say full mouth by 5. So maybe I would have waited until you had a 5-year-old with all their teeth in it. But that's just the way they set this up. The other criteria is that they had not received any dental care in the previous year. Okay, so a diet consisting of ad lib coastal Bermuda grass, that just means they're allowed to eat it as much as they wanted any day, day or night. And they also added 1.36 kilograms of a pelleted feed. And they fed this prior to and during the study. So that just means the horse was, you know, on the diet for a while before they started, which is always a good experimental design. They divided the group in half. 8 mares received dental work and 8 served as untreated controls. So what is dental work? That it's just a broad thing. Now, this is an abstract, and I'm sure if I got into the materials and methods, they would describe what it meant by dental work. But I found that dental work in the real world can vary between dentists, because dental work is an art form. And unless we all agree on what that art form means, then we're not going to be able to assess it correctly. And besides, if you're just doing quote unquote dental work, how about getting something a little bit more scientific, like put the motion of the horse in super slow motion, or put on a computer connected mask that measures the movement of the jaw when they're chewing, and see if it actually increased the lateral movement of the jaw, or the propulsion, or the frequency of chews per second or per minute, you know, some sort of objective measure to show that filing the teeth actually made a difference in the chewing. But they didn't do that. They just filed the teeth, and I don't know if they did a very good job or not. And then they measured a couple of things. They measured glucose and amino acids before and at 90 minutes post-feeding. And they found that there was an increase in glucose and amino acids that was statistically significant. But then they said dental correction did not have an influence on plasma nutrient concentrations. On day 56, untreated control horses had a larger percent of fecal particle size than horses having received dental correction. So that's interesting. Although the p-value is still very suspect as far as the correction goes. I said dental correction may improve mechanical digestion of feed, but this does not translate to altered postprandial plasma nutrient concentrations following the consumption of a concentrate meal. All right, so as far as I'm concerned, this study is filled with flaws. It is only looking at the fact that whether you float or not, they're still going to get the nutrients out of the food as far as glucose and amino acids go. So that's fine. So it really doesn't matter how much they chew. And again, that kind of supports my theory that chewing is only to create a swallowable bolus. And if the hindgut is fine, that digestion is going to occur just fine. It did say that and it didn't say very convincingly, that those that were floated 56 days later, which is almost 2 months, had a better fecal particle size than those who didn't receive any floating. And okay, so they chewed better because their jaw was able to grind a little bit more. Maybe they spent 3 or 4 more chews before they swallowed in it. I don't know. There's all sorts of things. I've seen horses with such sharp teeth that they barely chew their food at all. They gulp it down at the first possible moment. But if it's not painful, maybe they're going to spend more time chewing it. That would decrease the particle size. But it's irrelevant because in reality, I think particle size is based on the gut bacteria digesting it. So then we go over to Equinews Nutrition and Health Daily, presented by Kentucky Equine Research. And they took this picture, stock photo, and there's this man looking into this horse's mouth with its headlight on, the mouth jacked open, and it looks like a screwdriver that he's got in there, or maybe it's a mirror. I don't know what he's doing. But the first sentence just blew my mind. Dental disease has long been an accepted cause of quitting. Now, dental disease, that means that there's the disease. We're not talking about sharp points because that's not a disease. Now, it's causing unease in the horse. It's creating pain. So maybe they're just using disease a little bit out of context, but that's what they said. Anyway, so quitting is when a horse balls up hay and spits it out. And that just means he wasn't able to make a swallowable bolus. So yeah, that's a tooth problem. There's nothing else but a tooth problem, or the hay is bad, or there's something toxic in it that they are rejecting. But quitting usually is horses that are missing teeth or have a broken tooth or something. So, okay, we'll pass on that. But the second thing they say is poor feed digestion. Oh, where has it said that? Again, this is all the gut microbiome and the health of the gut. That's what's going to create good feed digestion, but they're saying that it has long been an accepted cause. Then it said reduced body condition. Well, again, we're talking about chronic protein deficiency, reduced body condition. Does that mean they're obese? I mean, that's reduced body condition. Or it's reduced from normal. Now they're obese. Maybe they're underweight, they don't have enough fat on them, or they've lost their muscle tone. I mean, none of that has anything to do with dental disease. And finally, an impaction colic. And it bugs me to no end that there are surgeons who will look into a colic doing surgery, and they'll find an impaction, and they'll pull out this wad of hay, and they'll blame the dentist. And it just bugs me to no end, because impaction colics are due to so many other things, such as poor gut motility at the impaction site, such as the pelvic flexure, upset gut bacteria, colonic ulcers that are caused by feeding grain in excess, or any grain in some horses. There are so many other factors. So we can't say impaction colic is caused by dental disease and accept that. The whole first sentence is so far off base that it blows my mind. It shouldn't have even been written. And yet here it is in a very authoritative setup that's making you, the horse owner, look at this and say, oh, dental disease has long been accepted cause of quitting, poor feed digestion, reduced body condition, and impaction colic in horses. I don't think so, but we're not here to just regurgitate. We're here to think. And that's why you're here listening to this, because when you read something, you have to use your brain to ask questions and say, is that true? So the next sentence was, researchers recently reported that the correction of dental abnormalities improves the mechanical digestion of feed, but does not affect nutrient absorption. That is a true statement. It does improve mechanical digestion, but that's mechanical chewing. That's the mechanical basis. We all know that. You take away the sharp points in the horse's mouth and they can chew better. There's no doubt that it's going to improve mechanical digestion of food. But according to the study, it was barely significant, if it was that at all, especially when you look at only 8 horses. I mean, the number is just so underpowered in the study. But here it is, a study that's been published, and they're going to grab it and they're going to make hay out of it, so to speak. So they go on to say the natural chewing action of horses involves moving the lower jaw against the upper jaw in a circular motion. Changes to the shape of the teeth, such as ramps, hooks, wedges, and ridges, prevent the jaws from aligning correctly. Where's the proof? I've yet to see the proof. For me, you have to take this whole sentence and turn it around. What's preventing the jaws from aligning correctly is truly the pain. So you have all these things, ramps, hooks, wedges, and ridges, because the horse is not putting their tooth against the other tooth to wear it down. So it's like the boat that's tied up, moored to the dock, and the edge of the boat is rubbing up against the wooden piling, and the waves and the tide are constantly pushing the boat back and forth against this wooden piling, and over time it creates a notch. Well, is the notch preventing the movement of the boat? No. The notch is there because of the movement of the boat. So in teeth, when you see hooks and wedges and ridges and all this other stuff that they're talking about, it's there only because they're not being worn down. And the question is, why aren't they being worn down? It is not because these things are preventing the teeth from moving. I'll guarantee you this. Every time I float a horse's teeth, within 6 months, they've got points there again. I take them down, the horse can move better, and over time, these things disappear. They just disappear. They get reduced in size. The front teeth align themselves. The teeth shift in the horse's mouth. All of that. Yet the next question or next statement this person says is, when the jaws do not align, appropriate communication of feeds does not occur. What communication? Sorry, I read that wrong. Appropriate comminution of feeds. Good grief. Let me just look up comminution. The action of reducing a material and ore to minute particles or fragments. Okay, great word. So we all learned a new word, comminution. So appropriate comminution of feed does not occur. So that's because the jaws do not align. So are we supposed to align the jaws? How does one do that? Is there a screw that we turn with a screwdriver? No, in my opinion, you take away the cause of pain. That's what allows the jaw to move in its full and proper way. Same with the tongue. But, they're saying that you have to adjust and align them. No, you just have to remove the causes of pain. Now, anyway, it says comminution reduces the solid material to smaller particles, usually by crushing, grinding, cutting, or pulverizing. Horses with misaligned jaws cannot grind feeds as finely as those with a correct jaw alignment. Explained Kathleen Crandall, PhD, a nutritionist for Kentucky Equine Research. Well, Kathleen Crandall, I disagree that you cannot align the jaw, but what you can do is remove all sources of pain, which are the sharp dental points, which is what this study did. They floated the horse's mouth, allowed them to move the jaw and the tongue better. So yes, it did grind the food a little bit better. So wonderful. But what gets me is people are making so many assumptions and they're perpetuating it through articles like this. And it says the fecal particle size was smaller in the horses that underwent dental work to correct malocclusions. No, they just took away the pain so they could start to chew better. However, researchers observed no change in nutrient concentrations and blood work. Okay, we're beating this horse, sorry, that's a bad expression, but we're just repeating this over and over again. While previous reports suggested that combination of feeds is positively associated with health, nutrition, and performance of horses, this study found no improvement in either glucose or amino acid absorption after dental work was performed. Well, duh. I mean, I'm blown away. Where is their basis of facts here? While previous reports suggested that combination of feeds is positively associated with health, nutrition, and performance of horses, that's because you're taking away the pain. That's all. That's why they're going to perform better. But is it going to make better health and nutrition? No. What's going to make better health and nutrition is getting the hindgut corrected, getting all the inflammatory ingredients out of there, stop feeding bad supplements, and start feeding more forage for horses the way they were designed. Anyway, it concluded, horse owners should not, however, consider this a green light to forego annual dental examinations for their horses. Though this study found no changes in nutrient absorption, other problems associated with misshapen or diseased teeth can crop up with neglect, including oral lacerations, reluctance to drink cold water or to chew on one side of the mouth, or behavioral changes when ridden or driven with a bit. Okay, finally, at the very bottom, it comes through and says, if you don't float the teeth, you could have some other problems which are associated with sharp teeth. I get exhausted reading this stuff. And so today I was presented with a horse, and this is really interesting because the horse, I'm back now. The horse came with a report of the dentistry that had occurred in June of this year. And here it is, mid-November. So it was the beginning of June. So all June, July, August, September, October. So it's at 5.5 months. And this person had aligned the mouth, had said that before the adjustment, it was, I've got the report here. I should just open it up and read it because it's just, here it is. I have to enlarge it. Okay, it said TMJ near and far had increased something or others. I have no idea what that is. Lateral excursion, pre-far, no OCC, whatever no OCC means. I'm sorry, I just don't know what these things mean. But post, far had 45, near had 45. So I guess there's no lateral excursion, and then they had lateral excursion after floating. AP movement, that's anterior posterior movement, was 0, and posterior is 2 to 3. And centric centering was 20% to the right. Incisor table was pre-floating negative and post-floating positive. And temporal muscle near was 3, far was 3. Hyoid was 74, whatever that means. Molar table angles, it has all these things that I don't even understand. And why? So they graded it a 63.5. So they're grading these teeth now. Lateral, I mean, come on, if you're going to use English language, you need to write it so people can read it. It's just in script that lat are something and points. Rims and points. And then it said it had a wedge on the incisors. So the comments, incisor wedge with negative table angle with centric centering 20% to the right. I think that's what it means, an arrow to the right. For arrow to the right, TMJ, reflective, molar, angles all different, pre-dental, with reduced clinical crown, molar, rims, and points, max occlusional contact. Okay. And I get it. You know, you want to detail your reports to convey to the owner what they're saying. But the owner conveyed to me that she didn't know what this meant. There was nothing that she could use to say, okay, is a horse going to die? I mean, is this affecting his nutrition? What does all this mean? And from what I gather, this person who, that's so funny. Huh. Sorry, I just saw something else there, and it was just it was interesting. Sorry. So this person was at a loss. She's been with horses for a long time, and this dentist gave her this report with diagrams, and she doesn't know what to think. You know, does this mean that her dental care before she got the horse has been bad? How does this affect the horse? I don't know. But I saw it today, and the only thing the horse had really sharp teeth in the back, and was so grateful after I took down the sharp edges. And I'll admit, the front teeth looked really straight, but that's because this person had filed the teeth so they're straight across. But I'm just, we're all supposed to follow the science, and we're all supposed to be looking at science as our guide for what we do in life. And I'm not seeing the signs here. There's no science in the report. It's to me a very poor study. Then people are reporting on this poor study and taking it like gospel and saying it's obvious and expected, and it's taken as a matter of fact. And I'm like, no, it's not. This is the whole purpose of the Horse's Advocate, is to lay out opportunities for you, the listener, to say, wait a minute, this isn't right. So with that in mind, I found a person who, she's a client of mine, who is willing to come on the podcast as soon as I ask her, who studies, or she doesn't study studies, but she prepares scientific research in human cancer. And she has to make sure that the studies are actually set up correctly before the scientists are even allowed to do the research. So I find it fascinating. I mean, she takes a look at the number of people they're going to use. Is there enough people to power the study? Is there a bias that we're putting into here, a selection bias? Are we eliminating all the possibilities that makes this study really not worth the money that is going to be put into it? Are we going to get false readings out of it? So it was so funny because she and I never met. We started talking when I was working on her horse. And when I found out that she does research, I just started asking so many questions. And she said, I saw her the next day. It was a couple of days at the same barn. And she said that she went home and told her husband, it was so exciting to meet somebody who understood what I do for a living. And I said, I don't understand it. I just know that it's there, and it's just bamboozling all of us with poor science. And whether it's dentistry or nutrition or horses, we have to stand up and say, wait a minute, is everything you're telling me true? I've told you a million times that if you give me enough time, I will convince you that the sun is circling the earth. I will show you the sun rising in the east and setting in the west, and a high noon it's above us. And in no time at all, because I'm very persuasive, I will make sure that you understand that the sun is circling the earth. And you're going to be sitting there saying to your friend, well, the sun circles the earth. And they say, well, that doesn't explain seasons. It doesn't explain time zones. It doesn't explain all these other things. And then you're going to get confused. And I've already said this before. Don't believe anything I say. Just take it for what it is and start asking yourself questions. Does this make sense? And as far as I'm concerned, horses have lived for, hundreds of thousands, millions of years without us interfering with their dental care. We haven't gone in there and started scrubbing their teeth right from the very beginning. We only started doing that in the past couple hundred years, maybe 100 years, maybe the only couple of decades for you guys. And yes, it makes a huge difference in their comfort. It makes a huge difference in their bit response. It makes a huge difference in how well they eat. But I've yet to see dentistry cause a horse to gain weight. Usually it's teaching them how to feed the horse or putting food in front of them. I mean, if the horse is staring at the food and can't eat it, it will lose weight. Duh, that's called starvation, whether you're not providing food or you're providing food, but you got the lips sewn shut. It doesn't, it's irrelevant. The food can't get in the belly. The horse is going to lose condition. They're going to lose their body fat. They're going to lose their muscling. And we've been going over this a million times. It's not the teeth. However, day after day after day, I float horses' teeth, and horses go from guarding or concerned to, oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? I'm so grateful. They hang their head over the stall door while I'm sitting there writing my notes, and they're just resting their chin on my back. You know, they're not saying, God, you hurt me. No, they're saying, please don't leave. You're my best friend. It just happened yesterday. 2 brand new horses came into this barn, and that actually happened. I floated its teeth. Its eyes are bugging out. What are you doing? Oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, wow, you made me feel so much better. It's all about the pain. Because I don't automatically medicate the horses can feel the difference. So this horse came up and just rested its chin, and then moved its lips out, and so its teeth were resting on my shoulder from my backside. And this is usually when the horse just opens the mouth and just clamps down and bites you. But this horse had no intention. It was just almost falling asleep on me. That's how these horses are after the pain is taken away. And just, it doesn't take rocket science. It doesn't take any science to understand that when you take pain away, everything's better. Okay, I've beaten that one in. I'm sorry. I get off on this because it's what I do every day. I'm 500 floats away from hitting my 80,000th. It's 80,000. That's a lot of horses that I've worked on. And yes, I know that they're guesstimates in the first 12 years of doing this. And that includes me helping others learn how to float teeth. So if you take that all away, I'm over 65,000 floats so far. And I think I've picked up a couple of common sense ideas, and I'd be willing to go to any place and defend what I know, because I don't think anybody else can defend what they know. It just doesn't make sense. But let's just talk for a second about Thanksgiving. It's tomorrow. It's a holiday here in America. I think everybody has their form of Thanksgiving in every country, where you sit down with family and you usually eat a lot of food, and you just give thanks to whoever you want to give thanks to. And I want to give thanks to this podcast to each and every one of you who've come here and listened to me rant about helping horses thrive in a human world. It's so frustrating to see horses suffer needlessly, brought on by inaccurate information, by people who want to do the best for their horse, but they are advised by people who just want to get in their purse and take their money, or just want to make themselves look important. I don't care what you guys think of me. I am going to live or die not worrying about what you think of me. I don't need you to tell me anything that is going to, I don't need this. I don't need you. I don't need anything. I'm grateful for those who listen, who try what I do, and they send me a note saying, yes, it worked. My horse now feels better, looks better, is thriving, is starting to gain muscle. The hooves look better. The laminitis is gone. I get all these things, and they do inspire me to keep sitting here in front of the microphone every day. And I'm so grateful and thankful for all of you who normally stay silent, who are afraid to say anything, but go out of your way and send me a quick note. Or better yet, you tell other people. That's even better. I don't need your notes. Just tell other people, hey, I tried no grain. I added some soybean meal, and the top line's come along. The hooves are feeling better. I floated teeth the old-fashioned way, and the horse is doing better because I found someone who knew how to get to the very back teeth without having to schnocker my horse and have it fall down. I don't have all the answers. There's no doubt about it, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to say what I know based on the years of experience. And speaking about years of experience, tonight, this is going out Wednesday, the 22nd. Tonight, we're having our Rounds with Doc T, which is open for members only. members of the Horses Advocate, if you're not a member, please consider doing that. It really helps drive us forward and gives us some interactions. And every other Thursday night, we get together. But of course, Thursday night is going to be Thanksgiving. So we're doing this on Wednesday. And I've invited a friend of mine, Dr. James Belden, who's been working with horses for, I don't know, 70 years. It's over 60, 65 years. He's been a veterinarian working with horses, some of the best in the world at the thoroughbred racetracks in New York. Names that even if you've never heard names before, you've heard of the name Secretariat. And these are the horses that Dr. Belden has worked on. He's been a friend of mine for decades. And I'm grateful that he's coming by to help me bring some stories or different perspective to some of the questions on lameness. And we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know how long it's going to be. But members of the Horses Advocate, if you're listening to this morning, make sure you sign up tomorrow between 7:55 and 8:10 p.m. Eastern time, New York time, Miami time, because we're going to open the doors and let everybody in and just kind of have an informal chat. The first 20 people who do come in are going to get a special little thank you from us as a part of our Thanksgiving. And then at 8:10, we're just going to start recording it. It's going to be a podcast next week. So you guys listening to this are going to get to hear Rounds with Doc T with Dr. Belden live with our members asking questions. Hopefully they're not going to be shy. I also want to thank my wife and my son. Without them, these things really wouldn't happen. They inspire me. They encourage me. They pick me up when I'm feeling a little bit down. They say, come on, Dad, you can do better. And I try to do better. And I try to be the leader because I have shoulders to stand on. And those shoulders are my fellow colleagues who believe in what I'm doing, my family who supports me all the time. And speaking of which, my son is coming back to visit from the other side of the planet. He's going to be in the same time zone, in the same house, starting next week after Thanksgiving. He's going to come visit, and I don't know how long he's staying, but Matt, we welcome you. This will be a lot of fun, and we're also going to do a lot of work. So caution you right now, you're going to be, you and I are going to get some things done that we can only do because we're sitting there looking at each other. I also want to thank just everyone, all the clients who have asked me to come out to their farm and float their horses' teeth, clients who send me pictures and say, hey, what's going on with this skin condition, as one of my clients did today. And just all of you out there who are either on Facebook, listening or going through the Horses Advocate Facebook group, or have come here and joined and become members of the Horse Advocate. Again, that really helps fund everything. It's very expensive. The Horse Advocate is now a corporation, LLC. So it's on its own, and we're fanning the flames and seeing if it can do something better with this. Maybe in the future, we're going to find some people who want to sponsor and endorse us and help us grow and get their message out. That's a congruent message with helping horses thrive in the human world without causing them harm. So there's a future here. And I'm hoping all of you listening to this will join in somehow, some way, at least subscribing to the Horses Advocate podcast. That's very helpful. We're going to be getting these out on YouTube pretty soon, so you're going to get to see my face. And I think that's all I got to say. Thank you from the bottom and the top and everywhere in between of my heart to each and every one of you who sit here or muck stalls or drive or whatever you're doing, where you've made a decision to just click me on, and you're now making the decision to click me off because I'm done. I hope to do better. And please, if you can, shoot me a message somehow, email or whatever, find me and ask, and tell me what you want to hear. Tell me some more things that you want to hear about. Dentistry is my forte. Nutrition, I think I'm making pretty good strides in. I am starting a new course for the Horses Advocate. It's going to be called Advanced Equine Nutrition. That's going to go into some of the topics with depth. so you can get a better understanding and stand in front of other people and tell people what you know because you've passed the course. I'm going to have a horsemanship course that doesn't rely on tricks. It's going to be an eye-opening experience. I mean, there are people out there saying what I'm saying, but this is going to be humbling, I think, for those who want to take that course. But that's going to come hopefully by January. And I've got things to do. I've got lots of things to do and lots of miles. For those of you who like Teslas, if you're interested, you can always ask me about Teslas. I just retired mine, my Model X, at 315,000 miles, and it is parked in the garage. And my wife uses it exclusively everywhere she goes. I think she actually likes it better than her, 4-door, 1-ton diesel, 8-foot bed pickup truck, because that I don't think has moved much in the past couple of months. And I'm now driving the latest and greatest Model X Tesla. That's just it's improving almost every month I have it. It just improves the software updates. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the roads. I'm thankful for the hotels, Marriott. I can't tell you how grateful I am for you. All the food that's out there that's borderline disgusting that I get to eat while I'm on the road and keep me going. Thank you for the doctors who helped me through my prostate cancer and got me out the other side. I'm still recovering from that, but and if you didn't know, well, now you know. I had prostate cancer a year ago. I went in and went through radiation all the way through January, and that's why I didn't do any podcasts. It just wiped me out. So I'm back. Hopefully, I'll be better in 2024. But come join us. I hope to get these out every Wednesday. Maybe I'll skip one or two during the holiday season because there's just so much work and my son's going to be here and we've got lots of things to do. But just subscribe. And again, happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. And I hope for the best for all of you. Big shout out to Jennifer. She was my very first equine dentistry student. And she just suffered a bleed out from her aorta in a barn. And a shout out to those people in the barn who got her into ambulance out to the hospital. A shout out to that crew that got her on a helicopter, got her to another hospital, that opened up her chest and glued back the leaking pipe. And she's living and healing. So big shout out to you. And her friend Olivia, also a graduate, who's been helping her through this, and to her families. You hear the stories like that. There's tragedies in everybody's life, but then there's these miracles that occur. And it's the miracles we all hope about and think about and hope for all the other people that we know in our lives that miracles will happen for them. And to you and to your horses, thank you. Doc T out.
Hey everyone, Doc T here. Thank you for listening to my content. Would you do me a huge favor? Would you please subscribe, comment, like, thumbs up, and give a star review? However it's presented to you, I want you to do that. There's two reasons. The first, of course, is to improve this product. This way I know what you like, what you don't like, what I can improve upon, what topics you want me to cover. But more importantly, it's also going to help others find me. And by doing that, you are now engaged in this mission of helping horses thrive in a human world. By you helping, we can reach others. And that I would be so grateful for. And remember, go to thehorsesadvocate.com for updates on this information. Thehorsesadvocate.com. And again, thank you so much for being here. Doc T out.